Welcome to another edition of TechCast. Our guest today is Martin Yates, Government Technology Advisor at Presight, a G42 company. Welcome, Martin.
Thank you, and thank you for the welcome. It's great to be here.
Martin, can you just introduce yourself in a few words and tell us about your role in the company?
Yeah, so as you suggested right out at the front there, I'm the Government Technology Advisor at Presight. So firstly, a little bit about Presight. So Presight is a very, a very large organization focused on big data and analytics and many different vertical areas such as smart cities, energy, financial services, and public sectors. And that's all really around digital transformation and the application of artificial intelligence that goes against that, which delivers those outcomes and results. For myself personally, what I do is I look at the entire strategy and say, we're seeing what's happening with AI, we're seeing what's happening with data, we're seeing what's happening with cybersecurity. And so in a way, my job is to try and bring the pieces together and connect the dots across the organization as advisor. And really to go out into the market and talk to people about what's important for the future. What kind of transformation should they be looking at, and building the blueprints against that in support of Presight, and therefore again working again with the whole entire G42 group ecosystem to deliver outcomes.
Absolutely. Now, Martin, governments today are racing to digitize and become digital, but transformation is often uneven. From your perspective, what actually differentiates governments that are truly digital native from those that simply digitize just to exist and to just move forward?
Yeah, you're absolutely right. Look, I think of all the countries in the world and all the government pieces inside that, the different agencies, everyone is somewhere in a different sort of chapter in that story of transformation. And some are very advanced, and some are very behind, and let's be honest. And there's a whole different set of reasons for why that can be. It could be the economic setup. I mean, a lot of people have great visions of what they want to do, but simply don't have the capital, the ability to execute. Or some people even have the money, but potentially don't have the right talent base to be able to make that transformation. So, the real essence of success is understanding where you are today, being very honest with yourself and saying, where do I want to get to? What's an achievable time frame? What's realistic? And do I have those people that can support me on that journey, within the organization? And what would be my sort of best partners to go with that? But I want to highlight a really key thing for me, that is stakeholders, right? And with the right talents and with the right vision, that's fantastic. But if generally across the organization the power base is distributed and not everyone is agreeing on that direction, great ideas can just stay in the corner. So a true native government is a native digitalized government is one that understands those issues, that understands the problems of what it means to bring people together. Because technology isn't the problem. I mean, look at us today, here at GITEX. I mean, we're surrounded by technology. It feels like there's nothing that you can't achieve. But again, without the ability to orchestrate, put that together and have the stakeholders support that, you're never going to get there. So that's really the essence of it. Stakeholder management is what truly differentiates at the end of the day.
That's an interesting perspective. Now, artificial intelligence has immense potential to improve public services, but it also risks eroding public trust if misused. Now, what role do you think transparency and explainability should play in shaping AI strategies?
Yeah, I mean, that's a great question. And I think, that there are obviously there's going to be very sort of different answers to that. In reality, it's incumbent upon organizations, whether they be enterprise organizations, government organizations, federal, the ability to explain how you manage data. How do you process data? And what kind of security frameworks are you use against that? And, it's really important that organizations, governments explain to the citizens, to the businesses, how these decisions are being made. And, just recently in G42, we published a report on transparency and AI. And that really supports a number of the global frameworks that you see today in terms of how do we show what we have and how do we show what's been processed, and a process and model to check that accuracy And if something's wrong, to be able to revoke that and retrain it or reprocess it so that you get the right outcome. So it is a big journey. And, I think whilst AI has been with us for at least 40 years that no one really talks about,
Right.
I think the exciting thing that's all really happened is certainly in the last 2 or 3 years.
Right.
And so, of course, that interest of how did I get those answers to my chat GPT or whatever model
Right.
I'm using? How did they come there? Right.
Absolutely.
And, that's going to be a parallel journey of good governance. How
Right.
did we get to that training model? How did we get to that data set? Because people need to know.
Right. Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, in an era of rapid technological disruption, how can governments cultivate strategic foresight or the ability to anticipate and adapt to change, basically?
Yeah, that's also the $10 million question, because for decades people have always said, well, how do I predict change? Strangely, you can get good consultants, smart people, experienced people.
Right.
Hopefully, I'm one of those to be able to support and assist that direction. But at the same time, I'm now sort of going out to the world and saying, AI is going to help us with that decision making. How do I make my government more agile? And it's people agile.
Right.
One of the things that I think is incredibly important is, there seems to be almost a digital divide potentially happening from those people that know AI and know the tools and those that don't. And that can't be allowed to exist, right? We've got to bridge that gap again. And many people talk to this, but you've got to be so proactive. And we talk about the transformation of job roles within government. So it's incumbent on all of us to provide good education, right? And that good education also needs to be provided potentially by AI, because AI can deliver education faster than traditional methods. And that's something that we've really been focused on. So always surround yourself and bring the people that you have around you up in that knowledge that's needed for the future. And that's the key to really sort of staying agile, right? The people must support that vision with you. You have the right people around you. That for me is really the key, because otherwise you might be a very lonely person saying that's the direction and this is how we're going to stay flexible in the future, and no one is understanding what you're saying. So awareness is absolutely critical. Good education and sharing should be one of the number one priorities as organizations and governments transform.
Right. I think awareness and people management, or the right people in the right place. I think that's
absolutely
the key
yeah. And leadership is there again. Leadership's always been important, right? But I'd say, in the next few years that's coming, leadership will be taking on a very new sense of ways of leading using artificial intelligence tools and services. And let's not forget, and we've been talking about this for a long time, that there will be super intelligence. There will be the real thinking brain out there, okay, that's smarter than humans. So I'm fully sure that intelligence level will also be supporting all of us in making the right decisions and in bringing us all on board.
Right. That was a great conversation. Thank you so much, Martin, for the time.
So welcome. Thank you for having me here. It's been a delight to speak.
Much.
Thank you.